Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a subject that's been generating a lot of buzz lately.
MLM fraud.
MLM fraud, exactly.
Yeah.
Now you're probably savvy enough to know the basics, right? But
Yeah.
we're going beyond the surface here.
Absolutely.
Think of it like getting a backstage pass to understand how these schemes operate,
Right.
evolve, and
Yeah.
frankly, how they can exploit even the smartest among us.
That's right. And what's so fascinating is that MLM fraud isn't just about bad business practices.
Right.
It's deeply rooted in psychological tactics
Oh, wow.
that have been honed over time.
Interesting.
These schemes have adapted with the digital age,
Right.
leveraging social media and online platforms in ways that make them even more pervasive
Yeah.
and sadly more convincing.
Okay, so let's unpack this.
Yeah.
We all know the analogy of the MLM structure looking like a family tree, right? With commissions instead of names.
Right.
But in reality, these schemes are far more complex. I mean, they've evolved way beyond those Tupperware parties our parents might remember.
Absolutely. And one of the key things to understand is how they use psychological manipulation
Right.
to draw people in.
Right.
They tap into very human desires for connection, belonging, and financial freedom.
It's like they're pushing all the right emotional buttons.
Yes.
I've seen some of these pitches online,
Right.
and they're incredibly slick. They use testimonials,
Oh, yeah.
flashy visuals, and language that makes you feel like you're part of an exclusive club.
It's all about creating a sense of urgency and scarcity.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Yeah.
this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Right.
Don't miss out.
Don't miss out.
They prey on that FOMO,
Yeah.
that fear of missing out,
Right.
that desire to be part of something special.
And it's not just about individual aspirations.
Right.
They often target communities and social networks,
Yeah.
leveraging existing trust to gain a foothold.
That's a crucial point.
Yeah.
MLMs often exploit the bonds of friendship and family.
Right.
They encourage members to recruit people they know and trust, creating a sense of obligation and social pressure
Right.
that can be incredibly difficult to resist.
It's like they're weaponizing your social connections.
It is.
That's pretty disturbing.
And this is where understanding the psychology behind these schemes is so important.
Yeah.
They use techniques that have been studied by behavioral economists
Right.
and social psychologists,
Right.
things like social proof,
Right.
scarcity tactics,
Mm-hmm.
and even what some experts call cult-like indoctrination.
Okay, cult-like indoctrination. That sounds intense.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean?
It's about creating a closed system of beliefs and values,
Okay.
where questioning the system or expressing doubts is discouraged.
Right.
Members are often bombarded with positive reinforcement, success stories,
Okay.
and a sense of community that makes it hard to see the reality of the situation.
Wow, that's really eye-opening. Yeah.
So it's not just about understanding the business model. It's about recognizing these psychological tactics at play.
Exactly. And that's what makes MLM fraud so insidious.
Yeah.
It's not always easy to spot because
Okay.
it's designed to appeal to our emotions
Right.
and our social instincts.
So let's get down to brass tacks here.
Okay.
What are some of the telltale signs that an MLM opportunity might be a scam? We know the too good to be true rule, but
Right.
what are some of the more specific red flags?
One of the most obvious and yet often overlooked
Yeah.
signs is a heavy emphasis on recruitment
Okay.
rather than product sales. In a legitimate business,
Right.
the focus is on providing goods or services that meet a genuine market demand.
Right.
But in a pyramid scheme disguised as an MLM, the primary source of income is from signing up new recruits,
Wow.
not from selling actual products.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
If the main way to make money is by getting others to join who's actually buying the product, right.
That's a question everyone should ask themselves when evaluating an MLM opportunity.
Absolutely. Another major red flag is the presence of unrealistic income claims.
Okay.
They often use testimonials from a select few top earners
Right.
to create the illusion that everyone can achieve similar success.
It's that classic rags to riches narrative.
Yes,
That's so alluring but rarely reflects reality.
right. They use those stories to tap into people's aspirations and then dangle the carrot of financial freedom in front of them. But the truth is,
Right.
the vast majority of participants in these schemes end up losing money.
And let's not forget about those hidden or excessive fees.
Oh, yeah.
You're often pressured to purchase expensive starter kits,
Mm-hmm.
attend mandatory training sessions,
Right.
and maintain a certain level of inventory,
Yeah.
which can quickly drain your bank account.
That's right. And the way those costs are presented can be very misleading.
Right.
They might downplay the expenses or frame them as investments in your future success. But the reality is, it's often just a way for the top earners in the pyramid to profit off of those at the bottom.
It's like a financial house of cards with
Yeah.
the people at the bottom holding up the weight of those at the top.
Exactly. And the compensation plans
Right.
are often intentionally convoluted,
Yes.
making it difficult to understand how much you're actually earning
Right.
and where the money's going.
I've seen some of those compensation plans,
Really?
and they're like trying to decipher a foreign language.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they so complicated?
The complexity serves a few purposes.
Okay.
First, it makes it harder for participants to track their actual earnings,
Okay.
making it easier to obscure the fact that most people are losing money.
Right.
Second, it creates an aura of sophistication,
Right.
making the scheme seem more legitimate and impressive.
Uh-huh.
And finally, it can be used to deflect criticism.
Oh.
If someone raises concerns about the financial structure,
Yeah.
the MLM can simply point to the complexity of the plan
Yeah.
and claim that the critic simply doesn't understand it.
So it's a deliberate strategy to obfuscate the reality of the situation.
Precisely. And it's one of the many ways in which MLM fraud preys on people's trust and vulnerabilities.
Speaking of trust,
Yeah.
another red flag is the lack of transparency about the company's track record.
Right.
Have they been investigated by the Federal Trade Commission, the FTC,
Mm-hmm.
or the Better Business Bureau?
Yeah.
The BBB. Are there any lawsuits or complaints filed against them?
Those are crucial questions to ask.
Yeah.
A legitimate business should have nothing to hide.
But often, these MLMs operate in a legal gray area,
Right.
making it difficult to hold them accountable.
That's one of the biggest challenges in combating MLM fraud.
Oh,
The laws governing these types of businesses can be complex
right,
and vary from state to state.
right.
And even when there are clear violations,
Yeah.
enforcement can be difficult.
So it's really up to individuals to be informed and vigilant.
Exactly. Knowledge is power. The more you understand about the tactics used in MLM fraud,
Right.
the better equipped you'll be to protect yourself and your loved ones.
This has been incredibly insightful so far.
Well, thank you.
We've covered a lot of ground in just a short amount of time, but it feels like we've only just scratched the surface of this complex issue.
You're right.
MLM fraud is a multifaceted problem with far-reaching consequences, and we've only just begun to explore the psychological and social dynamics at play.
That's true.
Well, luckily for our listeners, we have a lot more to unpack in this deep dive.
We do.
Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll delve even deeper into the world of MLM fraud, examining the devastating impact it can have on individuals, families, and communities.
I look forward to it.
You know, it's chilling to think about how MLM fraud
Yeah.
doesn't just impact people's wallets.
Right.
It can wreak havoc on their lives.
It's true.
We're talking relationships,
Mm-hmm.
self-esteem,
Yeah.
even their sense of reality.
The damage goes far beyond financial loss.
Right.
In fact, many victims report feeling a profound sense of betrayal. Wow. Shame and isolation.
It's like the rug gets pulled out from under them.
Mm-hmm.
They've invested not just their money, but their time,
Right.
their energy, their hopes and dreams,
Yes.
only to realize it was all built on a lie.
Precisely. And because these schemes often involve recruiting friends and family,
Right.
the fallout can be devastating to personal relationships.
Imagine the strain on those bonds when the truth comes out.
Yeah,
The trust is broken,
it is.
and it can be incredibly difficult to repair.
Absolutely. And then there's the psychological impact.
Right.
Many victims struggle with feelings of guilt,
Okay.
self-blame,
Mm-hmm.
and diminished self-worth.
Right.
They might question their own judgment
Yeah.
and wonder how they could have been so easily fooled.
It's heartbreaking.
It is.
They've been manipulated and exploited,
Right.
but often end up blaming themselves.
And that's exactly what these MLM perpetrators count on. They create a culture of blame shifting,
Okay.
where any lack of success is attributed to the individual's lack of effort or commitment,
Right.
rather than the inherent flaws in the system.
So it's like a double whammy. You lose your money,
Right.
and then you're made to feel like it's your own fault.
That's right. And this psychological manipulation can have long-lasting effects,
Wow.
making it difficult for victims to trust their own instincts
Yeah.
or engage in future business opportunities.
It's almost like they develop a sort of financial PTSD.
That's a powerful analogy.
Yeah.
And it underscores the need for greater awareness and support for victims of MLM fraud.
So let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about some real-life examples of MLM fraud from our sources.
Okay.
One that stood out was the story of a single mother who was lured into an MLM selling essential oils.
Hmm.
She was promised financial freedom and a chance to be her own boss,
Right.
but instead she ended up drowning in debt.
That's a classic example of
I
how
know.
these schemes prey on vulnerable individuals,
Right.
particularly those who are facing financial hardship or seeking a sense of purpose and community.
In her case,
Yeah.
she had just gone through a divorce
Okay.
and was struggling to make ends meet.
Right.
The MLM offered her a lifeline,
Hmm.
a sense of hope that she could turn her life around.
And that's the allure,
Yeah.
right? They offer a quick fix,
Yeah.
a shortcut to success,
That's right.
but it's all smoke and mirrors.
She ended up maxing out her credit cards,
Oh, wow.
borrowing money from family,
Yeah.
and even taking out a second mortgage on her home to keep up with the demands of the MLM.
And that's another common tactic.
Right.
They encourage participants to invest heavily in inventory, training materials, and recruitment events,
Right.
creating a cycle of debt that could be incredibly difficult to escape.
By the time she realized she was in over her head,
Yeah.
it was too late.
Mm-hmm.
She lost her home,
Oh, my gosh.
her credit was ruined,
Right.
and her relationships with friends and family were strained beyond repair.
It's a tragic story, but it's not unique.
Right.
We see these patterns repeated over and over again in MLM fraud cases.
Another example from our sources involved a young college graduate
Okay.
who was recruited into an MLM selling nutritional supplements. He was drawn in by the promise of high earnings and a flexible work schedule.
Again, tapping into those common aspirations and selling a dream that's ultimately unattainable for most participants.
He was encouraged to use social media to market the products and recruit new members, often targeting his friends and former classmates.
Ah, yes. The modern-day twist on MLM recruitment.
Right.
Social media platforms have become a breeding ground for these schemes,
Yeah.
allowing them to spread rapidly and target specific demographics with laser-like precision.
In this case, the young man's social media feeds became saturated with promotional posts about the MLM,
Wow.
alienating many of his friends and damaging his reputation.
And that's another hidden cost of MLM involved.
Right.
The social pressure to constantly promote the business can strain relationships
Right.
and create a sense of isolation.
In the end, he realized that most of his income was coming from recruiting new members, not from selling the actual products.
Yeah.
He had essentially become the very thing he had initially been skeptical of, a pyramid scheme participant.
It's a common realization for many who get involved in MLMs.
Yeah.
The lines between legitimate multi-level marketing and pyramid schemes can be blurry,
Right.
and it's often not until they're deep into the system that they see the truth.
These stories are so powerful and really drive home the devastating consequences of MLM fraud.
They do, and they highlight the importance of being informed,
Right.
asking the right questions,
Yeah.
and trusting your instincts.
Okay, so let's say you're approached with an MLM opportunity.
Okay.
What are some key questions you should ask yourself to determine if it's legitimate or a potential scam?
That's a great question. First and foremost, ask yourself, is the primary focus on selling products to customers?
Right.
Or is it all about recruiting new members?
Right.
If the emphasis is on recruitment,
Okay.
that's a huge warning sign.
Right. Because a legitimate business thrives on providing value to its customers.
Exactly.
Not on endless chains of recruitment.
Absolutely. Another crucial question is, are the income claims realistic
Okay.
and backed by solid evidence?
Right.
Be wary of exaggerated earnings claims and promises of getting rich quick.
It's important to remember that success in any business takes time,
Yes,
effort,
Right.
and a genuine market demand for the products or services being offered.
absolutely. And don't be afraid to ask tough questions about the compensation plan.
Okay.
How is money made?
Right.
What percentage goes to recruitment versus actual sales?
Right.
If the structure is overly complex or opaque,
Yeah.
that's a red flag.
And it's always a good idea to research the company's track record. Have they been investigated by any regulatory agencies? Are there any lawsuits or complaints filed against them?
Right.
A quick online search can reveal a lot about a company's reputation and legitimacy.
That's right. Don't just rely on the information presented by the MLM itself.
Right.
Seek out independent reviews, news articles,
Okay.
and any legal actions that might be underway.
This is all such valuable advice.
Well, thank you.
It's empowering to know that by being informed and asking the right questions,
Mm-hmm.
we can protect ourselves and our loved ones from falling prey to these schemes.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And in the world of MLM fraud,
Right.
knowledge can be the difference between financial security and devastating loss.
It's mind-boggling how these MLM schemes manage to ensnare people from all walks of life.
It's true.
It's like there's a psychological puzzle piece that makes certain individuals more susceptible to their tactics.
There's a fascinating interplay between individual psychology and the manipulative techniques employed by these organizations.
So what are some of the personality traits or circumstances that might make someone more vulnerable to MLM fraud?
Well, research suggests that individuals who are highly optimistic,
Okay.
have a strong need for approval,
Right.
or are easily influenced by authority figures, might be more likely to fall prey to these schemes.
It's as if they're seeking a sense of validation and belonging. And these MLMs exploit that desire by creating a seemingly supportive and encouraging environment.
Precisely, they offer a sense of community,
Yeah.
a shared purpose,
Right.
and the promise of achieving dreams that may feel out of reach through traditional channels.
And let's not forget the economic factors.
Right.
People who are struggling financially or feeling desperate for a change in their circumstances might be particularly susceptible to the allure of quick riches.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Economic hardship can create a sense of vulnerability and desperation that these MLMs are all too eager to exploit.
Right.
They prey on those anxieties and offer a seemingly easy solution,
Yeah.
a way to escape financial struggles and achieve a better life.
It's tragic because often the people who can least afford to lose money are the ones who are most targeted by these schemes.
It's a vicious cycle, really.
Right.
The more desperate someone is,
Yeah.
the more likely they are to overlook the red flags and buy into the promises of easy money.
So let's say someone we care about has gotten involved in an MLM.
Okay.
What are some practical steps we can take to help them see the situation more clearly?
That's a challenging but crucial question.
Yeah.
First and foremost, approach the conversation with empathy and understanding.
Okay.
Avoid being confrontational or judgmental, as this will likely push them further into defensiveness.
I imagine it's like trying to reason with someone who's fallen under the spell of a cult leader.
There are definitely parallels.
Yeah.
MLMs often create a similar dynamic
Right.
where members are encouraged to view the organization as a family and to distrust any outside information that challenges their beliefs.
So how do we break through that barrier? Is it
Um,
even possible?
It can be incredibly difficult,
Mhm.
but it's not impossible.
Okay.
The key is to focus on building trust and fostering open communication.
Right.
Express your concerns,
Yeah.
but do so in a way that acknowledges their perspective and validates their feelings.
Instead of saying, you're being scammed, maybe start with, I'm concerned about you and I want to understand what's going on.
Exactly. Ask open-ended questions that encourage them to share their experiences and motivations for joining the MLM.
Mm-hmm.
Listen actively and try to understand their perspective without interrupting or arguing.
And maybe gently introduce some of the red flags we've discussed. Like,
Yeah.
have you noticed that most of the income seems to come from recruiting new members rather than selling products?
That's a good approach.
Yeah.
Plant seeds of doubt without directly attacking their beliefs.
Right.
Encourage them to do their own research,
Mm-hmm.
to look for independent reviews and information that goes beyond the MLM's own marketing materials.
And remind them that genuine business opportunities don't rely on pressuring friends and family into joining.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Legitimate businesses thrive on providing value to customers through quality products or services,
Right.
not through endless chains of recruitment.
It's about helping them reconnect with their own critical thinking skills and empowering them to make informed decisions.
That's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
It's about supporting them in reclaiming their agency and autonomy rather than trying to control their choices.
As we wrap up this deep dive, what's the most important message you want our listeners to take away?
I think the most crucial takeaway is this. MLM fraud is a pervasive and insidious problem that can have devastating consequences.
Right.
But by being informed, asking the right questions, and trusting our instincts, we can protect ourselves and those we care about.
It's about being vigilant,
Yes.
being skeptical, and being willing to challenge the status quo when something feels off.
Exactly. And it's about remembering that true success is built on hard work, integrity, and a genuine desire to provide value to others,
Right.
not on exploiting vulnerabilities or preying on people's hopes and dreams.
Well said. And to our listeners, we hope this deep dive has equipped you with the knowledge and insights to navigate the complex world of MLMs and make informed decisions that protect your well-being and financial security.
Absolutely.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay empowered.
It's all